I made a 3D sculpt in Blender of this little girl that served as my reference I drew earlier. In fact, this is the main character of my 2D platformer that I developed in the open source engine Godot. Everything is hand-drawn, we did our own sounds and music, and also the level design. If you want to take a look, you can play it for free on itch.io. It's even playable in the browser. Enough for the game, let's dive deep into the character design process. In the beginning, I had no intention of making a game character for a 2D platformer. I just wanted to draw a character turn around and make an adventurer who looks like she would be able to survive dangerous situations and would be able to climb and run fast. In the back of my mind, I had this trashy show from the 90s called Relic Hunter, and of course Tomb Raider, but not this one, and not this one, but this one.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I get in touch with the Godot Engine, and I thought about several styles that could be possible to implement in a 2D platform. So I had a lot of thoughts about this character, making different shapes and also thinking about the abilities she could have, like putting different gems into her forehead that gives her special abilities, like a third eye or a blast she could shoot. But this was way out of scope. I just wanted to do a little 2D platform. So I simplified a lot and had in mind that I have to draw every animation frame of her, so making it as simple as possible was the best way to go. Before we dive into the 3D sculpting process in Blender, I just want to take a short note about the wrong scope. I mentioned just a few seconds earlier. I make video games as a hobby for about 4 years and always stick to 3D games. Now there are 4 projects that never got really finished, and maybe it's a good idea to restart like most indie game devs do and start with a little 2D platform. Although I'm really proud of the current project, Project Courier, with this third-person sci-fi action speedrunner. You can also try it out on our itch.io game page if you want. But giving up the development of a 3D game doesn't mean you have to give it up completely. So after more than a year without touching it, I unpacked Blender from a dusty old folder and decided to sculpt my Relic Hunter in 3D, pose it, and perhaps print it out later as a miniature with my resin or filament 3D printer as a little trophy for myself. Especially at the beginning, I had a really tough time remembering all the shortcuts and all the options I have in sculpt mode. I didn't really have a plan how to approach this, and I had to look up a lot of stuff in tutorials on YouTube or with Google. I highly recommend Grant Abbott if you look for any Blender stuff or you want to start out. He even has some good advice on sculpting. So after some time I got somehow in the flow, but I think the approach wasn't perfect because I should have focused more on basic shapes without connecting them in that early stage. But hey, the more you do it, the better you get. And it started to make fun again. I had a good time, and right in the middle of the fun, I somehow crashed the program, and of course I didn't save the file. So that was kind of frustrating because I had to do everything again. The funny thing is, it turned out that the failure was a good one. It gave me time to spend a few hours recapping what I just brushed up on, and this time I went into it with a plan. I took the basic shapes of the character and started with them. Since the hotkeys were halfway back in my brain, the whole thing went much smoother. Of course, you shouldn't distract yourself with details, but I think this little pocket on her suit or cloth is really cute. And while she is not exactly a relic hunter, but more of a gem hunter, I found it a cool detail to show the gem in a half full pocket that she has already collected. After that, I started with the head. by making the eye holes and finding the stylized, exaggerated way of the bone structure. After that, I thought how to approach the eyes. Basically, she has no eyeballs. The skull is more meant to be like a mask, more like Hollow Knight or figures from old cartoons, so kind of filled it without eyelids. And I think this was a good idea because she also doesn't have eyebrows and also no nose. So to keep her style really simple, it is also a good idea to avoid too complex eyes. After a lot of fine-tuning, I then approached the mouth, which is actually just a small line. And after endless attempts, which I thought were all bad, but I just wouldn't give up on putting that stupid little line on the character's face. Funnily enough, that was somehow the hardest part of the whole project. I didn't like any of it. I left it and dedicated myself to the ears. At first I thought I'd make them really low poly, not very complex. But I don't know why. But ears are great. Somehow I have fun sculpting them, and in the end this body part turns out to be the most detailed part of the character. Then came the earrings, as big as small plates and relatively quick to make. As a further detail, I placed a kind of stone on her forehead. It's kind of left over from the idea of a third eye that gives you abilities if you place a magic stone in it. It's like an exchange of energy in the body and the properties of the stone. It's actually a cool idea. Maybe I'll come back to it one day. The normal standing pose would be boring, so I first tried Mixamo, but it didn't turn out well. I then posed on my own, made a way too complex scene, and then I thought I'd do over it again. Then I found a nice standing position where she is reaching out her hand to a freshly collected gem. This could work and this could be cool, I guess. So I set up basic light and started to transfer the values from the reference to the 3D object. I also made the earrings and the gems and the third eye a little more metallic, more shiny, and I took the roughness more away from the clothes and the hair, so the skin would shine a little bit more. Then the process is followed by a lot of trial and error. The model is actually almost ready for 3D printing. Blender offers a 3D print add-on that optimizes the mesh once again, and then it's basically done. But I wanted to make a small clip or a small rendering of the character, and therefore also the colors and lighting and stuff. I then set up a 3 light system so that the character is well lit. And in case you haven't noticed, I've given the character a bright white outline to make him stand out a little more. Finally, I had to learn how to move the camera. I added along a path. At first I wanted to film the character in a turnaround and have the camera draw a circle around them. But then I decided on something more dynamic, starting from the back with the focus on face and gem, and later zooming out. That's cooler. That was a long process, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm really happy with the final results. So thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye bye.